Hello, welcome to Everyday Experts. I am your host, you see it right there, Ryan's Hype Man. Some people call me Sir Joker, but I prefer Ryan White's Hype Man. As you know, we have an international man of mystery today, a man of immense intelligence and very few words. I think he's only spoken 300 words to me. Not that I'm counting, but I'm going to keep count tonight just to see. There are a lot of words to describe Mr. Ryan White, a true expert. But I found a quote that I think sums it up really nicely. True humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. I can literally hear Ryan saying that. So, without further ado, I bring the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ryan White.
Hello. I don't know who you were describing, but I think I'm on the wrong show.
I think you're on the right show. Hence the humility quote, sir. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good. We managed to usurp some technical issues. But I'm good other than that. Ready to rock and roll, sir?
Me too.
Okay. So, Mr. White, the first question that I ask all of my esteemed guests, if you could be a wolf, a werewolf, a vampire, a zombie, a ghost, or a serial killer, which would you be and why? Serial killer.
Well, I'm already a couple of those. So I would see what it's like to be a werewolf, what that change is like. I don't know if it would be good or bad, but I'm sure it would be interesting.
A werewolf. Interesting. Do you have a favorite werewolf? Depicted on movie, TV, anything like that?
Not by name. I can say
Okay.
my favorite werewolf movie is
What's your favorite
American Werewolf in London.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a long time. I'm a fan of Underworld myself. I don't know how you feel about the franchise, but
That is a good one too.
nice. Mr. Ryan White the Werewolf. So you said that you're a few of those things already. Could you please expound on that? That sounds very interesting.
Well, unfortunately, I can't because then you would be complicit in knowing.
Okay. You'd have to kill me then. I understand. I respect that.
I didn't say that.
But you are a man of many talents.
I didn't say that either.
No, I did, sir. Now, tell me what young Ryan White was like. What was it like growing up in Central Oregon? Is that correct?
Yes. Well, cold in the winters and pretty nice in the summers. This one has definitely been nice.
Okay. How cold? Like snow? I don't know. Do you have I don't know a lot about Oregon.
Yeah, definitely snow. I would say the average temperature in December is somewhere in the 30s. And then that goes through January for the most part, and then maybe 40s and up as we hit February. The lowest we've ever gotten is like -15, but that was only 1 year. So the negatives aren't too common around here.
Oh, that's good. So you have like definite seasons. Sounds a lot New Yorkish. Sounds a lot
yes. The saying is, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
All right. So you said snow most of the time, except when it's not.
I'm going to use a JTE and have you repeat that.
Back?
Yep.
Sorry. It's
all
raining.
good.
It's raining here, so you know how that goes. Everything decides to go off. So you are a man that we have grown to know in the Trivia League with your domination. How did you find activities that you knew you could enjoy growing up?
Basically, as long as they weren't physically straining, then they would be activities that I would enjoy. I do want to go back to one thing, though. I would not say dominant. Yes, I have won my 2 matches, but it is only 2 matches, so I don't want to get ahead of myself yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then I will get ahead of yourself for you. You doing very well, sir.
Thank you.
So I know a big part of what we talked about in the pre-interview was your affinity for video games and how they kind of like got you through a lot of your younger years. Is that fair to say, sir?
That was a go-to activity, yes.
Okay.
That is correct, Lego. That is very much correct.
Well, he's an international assassin, so he doesn't have to run from trouble.
I try to... Never mind. I can't say that.
But you can. It's your show, sir. So do you have particular video games that you enjoyed? Because I know you...
in my later years, it was a variety of first-person shooter games. I would say probably my favorite of all time is Halo, which originated on the first Xbox, and now the new Halo Infinite will be coming out this year on multiple platforms. But it really depends on the console and the year. So,
okay, all right. You're gonna have to break this down for me because I am an infant when it comes to games. Now, console is what you play on, and I'm not being silly. The consoles,
yeah,
you're talking when you say consoles, what you play. How
correct.
do you have a favorite console? We'll start there.
I mean, the Xbox Series would probably be my favorite series of console, but when, in-home gaming started out, there weren't as many options. It was Atari, Nintendo, and Nintendo is where I started. And then eventually we got Sega and PlayStation and different things like that. So as the years went on, the options grew greater, but most of my gaming came on the Xbox probably for the last years that I did so.
Ooh. Okay, so now you know what the console is. The different when you say different multiple platforms, are you talking about different types of?
For instance, it used to be a lot of games would only be on Nintendo or only be on PlayStation, but nowadays most games are on most platforms, including the computer.
Interesting. Do a lot of people play games on their computers, or is it mostly, console driven?
I don't know if the answer is most. From my experience, the serious gamers do play on the PC, but that's because you can customize your PC, where you cannot really customize a gaming console. They kind of are as is.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever customize a gaming PC, or do you have one now?
No, it's just a regular PC, but it runs the games that I need perfectly fine, and I really only play one game now, and that still is Halo, because it's still fairly popular on the computer. So
PC Gamer Life, # yes, Taunter. That is correct. PC Gamer Life.
Basically, Sir Joker, it's like asking iPhone or Android, console or PC.
Okay.
So that's the same type of debate that people have. There's people that are very passionate either way.
And the people that say Android would be wrong in this case. So in PC versus console, which answer is the correct one in your estimation, sir?
I don't think I have a vote to give in that. I can say that I played more on the console, but that doesn't mean that the PC is any less.
Okay. All right, so we said Halo was your favorite video game. What is it that in first shooter games? So, how did you get into first shooter games? What do you like about them?
Well, they weren't nearly as complex until the first
Mm,
Xbox and other things like that. For instance, we could go all the way back to the video game Doom, which was very popular, but you could really only move forward, backward, side. You couldn't even look up. Like that wasn't even a thing. So it has more of an evolution when it comes to them. And the reason
mm-hmm.
why I enjoyed Halo so much is I found myself to be very good at it amongst friends. And then eventually, when online play came into play, I was very good on that as well.
Okay. Now, as we preface, you're a man of immense humility and humbleness. Did you get on the consoles and we're talking, we'll say shit, but talking shit like, oh, you suck, I'm the man, you can't see me, blah, blah, blah. John Cena,
Well,
any of that?
as I kind of said before, I started when there was not online play. So a bunch of friends would
Mm-hmm.
get together and we would bring over multiple televisions and
Oh,
multiple
that's right.
Xboxes and hook them up. And so, yes, we would talk smack to one another. And then eventually that carried over to online play as well.
Mm. Mr. Eatman, my friend had a question for you. Could you bring up the question for Ray, please, Matt? Do you play 2K, sir?
I do not play any sports games, but that's because I do
Love
not
it.
play or watch sports in real life. So I don't really have a connection to those games.
Okay. Big love to Ryan.
Thank
It's
you,
a
Cena.
wonderful, sweet. Oh my God, the sneakily funniest person that never fails to crack me up.
You want to talk about another champion? Cena is a champion.
Well, Cena only has one win though. So I mean, if we were going to do a ranking, which I know you would not do, I would have to put you first. Because aren't you the only undefeated person in Rob's league?
Well, I don't know if undefeated is correct. I know that Ryan Payne has more wins than I do, but he is no longer undefeated due to Cena.
Okay, so I like this. I like where this is going. I like it. We're finding out the origins, your origin story. So you and your friends are hanging out, like 10 different TVs, all plugged in. Are you playing each other on the
Yes.
different TVs? Okay, and
Yes.
what does that look like?
Well, the other thing you have to keep in mind is this would have been late 90s, early 2000s. Mostly early 2000s is when it really started getting to the multiple televisions. In the early 2000s, TVs were much larger. So people would bring over their giant 32-inch tube TVs and there would just be scattered throughout the house. And you'd have to get the Ethernet cables to plug in multiple Xboxes. And then on top of that, you would have to have a Ethernet hub in order to hook 4 Xboxes total together. So you definitely had to do some planning and coordinating to make it all work, but it was so much fun when you did.
Okay. Was that your versions of like a hangout or like hanging out with your
Yes.
friends?
Yes. And then eventually, for instance, going back to the PC side of things, that would be what is known as a LAN party, LAN.
Oh, that's cool. So I have another question for you because I asked the questions. If you weren't into sports really, where did the competitive nature that you might subtly display but very much display come from?
I would say when I know I'm capable at when I know that I'm capable at being good at something and then I don't do well at it, that's when the competitiveness really comes out.
Okay, so You're in there, you're winning. You're partying like a rock star. You're dominating. I would use dominating. How does
In
that
this
make you feel?
situation, it's more fair to use dominating.
Okay. So how did you feel in those situations?
It was fun that I was finally better at something than most of my friends. So that's
Okay.
another reason why I enjoyed it. Don't worry, they pretty much had everything else that they were better than me at. So,
But you annihilated them and eviscerated them.
in most of the games we did together, yes.
Was there any other game? I know Halo's your favorite. I know that's the one you kind of lean toward. Was there a second favorite that kind of maybe when you didn't want to do the first person shooter that you were just like, I'll do this when I want to like mindless kind of fun?
Not not really, but to go back before Halo, Super Mario Brother, or excuse me, Super Smash Bros. On the N64 was something that all of us would get together and do. And even though that wasn't first-person shooter, I was still good at that and have friends over, and that was a lot of fun too. So it depends on the year and whatever game we were playing at that time. We were a little young for GoldenEye. I know that was the most popular one for N64 at the time, but I was in a little bit younger demographic, which is why Super Smash Bros. Is the one for me. But yeah, it depends on the console. There's things that you can play together and have fun for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, apparently you have a history of domination. That seems to be a common motif because
In gaming, yes.
in gaming, I mean, in trivia too, but
We'll see.
Tomato. What was your biggest accomplishment with Halo? I mean, was there a little victory or a big victory?
So I did enter a few tournaments locally, and the biggest one I was in was a Halo 2 tournament the night before Halo 3 came out. That would have been September 24th, 2007 was the night of the tournament. And there was 50 plus people that had entered, some of which I had played before and definitely good competitor. And I did end up taking first place, and that was really cool. Probably my biggest gaming accomplishment.
Oh, that's cool. So you took first out of 50 people. And how old were you? I think you said you were about 9, 10, and you were just nominating the 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds?
No. This was when Halo 2 came out, so I was 18 at that time.
Okay.
And just to be clear, those... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please, sir.
Just to be clear, in case anybody's wondering, it was a Slayer free-for-all tournament, so it wasn't one-on-one throughout, so that's how I was able to maneuver in order to win.
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
That means there was, I want to say, 16 people in each match, but it was everybody versus everybody. So there were no teams, and whoever got to the kill limit first was the winner for that match, and then they would go on and on until I think there was down to 4 of us free for all Slayer, and I won out of the 4. So that's how I got to the top.
Interesting. A question that we didn't necessarily discuss, but is in line with this. How do you process video games? Do you have like an analytical mind? Do you is it strategy? How do you kind of approach the video game play?
I don't know how to answer that exactly. What I can say, though, when it comes to first-person shooter is I will always play the campaign first, the story first on the regular mode. Then after doing that, and I have a feel for it, I'll go back to whatever the most difficult setting is and play through on that. Then that kind of gives you an idea of how to use everything in the game. And then you just constantly play the multiplayer aspect with people online, and you learn as you go for the most part from there.
So this was like 19. this has been ongoing. I don't want to
I
say
thought you meant the year 1819.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
no, no.
you're a little off there.
So, like from 1819, you were doing the video games heavy, and then you
Yes,
said
very much so.
it kind of died out about that point, or you kind of fell out of love with video games a little bit. What happened there, sir?
Yeah, I would still play, but
Mhm.
the thing is, I would end up playing for like 6 to 8 hours a day, which would be most of the day, and I would just keep playing the same game again and again and again, and I wouldn't really move on all that much. So I felt like I wasn't really accomplishing anything. So even
Mhm.
though watching movies is not an accomplishment, after a couple hours, you're done with it and you move on to something new. So I started doing that more and more, and that's where I started enjoying a variety of films.
You said, to quote the great man himself, that you liked movies because they were finite.
In a sense, yeah.
Okay. What did you mean? Or please clarify for our audience.
Well, a lot of movies will just be a one and done, but then
Hmm.
there's series of movies such as the Marvel series or the Star Wars series, things like that. So there will be ones to look forward to, but you kind of get an entire story and then you're finished. Where with
Hmm.
the game, at least for me, I would play the story and then I would relentlessly play the multiplayer every day just because it was fun. I enjoyed it, but I would just
Hmm.
spend so many hours on it and not do anything. And I would say, oh, I want to, watch that movie and I'll get to it. And I never would. Where
Hmm.
when watching the movie, when it's done, you can get to the next one. Or at least for me, it was easier to move on than it was to,
Hmm.
well, there's always another game waiting because there's, millions of people online to play with. So you're probably not going to run out of people to play.
Man. Hmm. After you watched, and there was another point where you had another quote where you said you would watch a movie, then you watched another movie. Did it become that same type of fulfillment where you could play video games for 8 hours and you probably feel like drained, but you could watch four movies, well, nowadays, like three movies, four movies in the same amount of time? Was that similar for you?
Well, the other thing is I would notice that I would actually take breaks in between movies. I may even only watch one a day. But yeah, so that was also kind of nice to have a reason to stop and to move on to something else. But there are days where I will watch two or three. But in the beginning, when I was probably watching more, it was because I was so far behind, at least in my view, on everything and so many things that I had not seen that I wanted to. But now
Mm.
it's not that I casually do it, but I don't do it at the same rate, but I enjoy the rate at which I do it.
So when you're watching a movie, does it ever unfold for you like a video game in that kind of? Well, I know because you said you played a story. Okay, I'm sorry. Again, I'm a novice.
You're good.
When you play this story, you're following like all I can think of is Legend of Zelda. Like when Link, when you would have him follow go to talk to different people and get the jewels. When you say you're following the story, that's what you mean.
If you're referencing the movie side of things, yes.
Okay. Playing playing a video game when you're playing the story in the video game. How does that work?
Um, I mean, it's interesting because, at least for me, most of the games I played, it wasn't as much about the story, even though the story was interesting. It was more about the execution of the level, like what weapon or piece of equipment do you
Mm.
use here to try to get to the next part and things like that. But, sometimes the stories were interesting. For instance, the first Halo video game had a very interesting story, but then as they went along, they kind of dipped in quality and people focused much more on the gaming side. Um, Now, I didn't play a lot of the story-based games, I don't know if you're familiar with the game Mass Effect. I know that's very popular, has a big story and things like that. I wasn't as into those, even though they are fun. I was more focused on the first-person shooter video games. So just because that's what I found I was good at.
So you sought out successes.
I mean, I stuck to what I was good at because it was nice being good at those things. Yeah, and I knew it was something that I could do.
Right. When it comes to movies, did you like kind of just replace movies with video games with movies, and just like, did it die out ever, or is it just something that's just like, there, like the ex-girlfriend, like, oh, I see you.
Not sure about that analogy, but what I will say is I definitely enjoy a much wider variety of movies than I did video games.
What is your favorite genre of movies?
I really do enjoy the horror genre just because you can do things in that you can't really do in other movies. But unfortunately, what comes with that is sometimes there's a lot of bad horror movies that you sit through. Pros and cons.
Did you see Malignant yet?
Next question.
Oh, you didn't see it yet. What is your your top 5 horror movies? Well, and I kind of put, when I say horror, I mean horror, slasher, like I kind of put it all together.
Yeah. You're hopefully in October you're going to find out what my number 1 is.
Halloween Kills.
That's the new one coming out. So yeah. But I would say other excellent. I would say that probably the best one ever made is The Exorcist, and I think Rob has said this before, where the reason why it's a great movie that happens to be a horror movie. So as far as well done movies are concerned, that would be the best or the most well done horror movie in my opinion. So, but there's a lot of good ones to choose from, but it also depends on what you're kind of into, because then there's I don't know if you'd call it funny or comical horror, but I love the Evil Dead series as well. So there's a variety that you can enjoy. Yes, Shining is a great one as well.
Interesting. I can't make it through The Shining. And I love horror movies. I can never make it through The Shining.
So what discourages you from finishing it then?
And there's certain movies that, because I know like most of the storyline and most of the beats, I guess it's just...
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Just an annoying computer. Yes, I know. I think it has slow parts for me, and maybe that's what's thrown off. I haven't tried to watch it in a long time now, but I just always felt like it moved too slow for me.
I will agree that there are slow parts, but at least for me, and I think many others, they weren't slow enough to make me not want to continue. So I would encourage you, if you can, to finish it or start again and finish it, because I think that it's worth it. I hope he heard that.
I did. You said you would encourage me to finish it.
Perfect. Good. Yes.
I heard you. Do you have Shining's good, I suppose. Do you like any of like the Conjuring movie?
Yes, I think that the first Conjuring film is excellent, and then the second one is really good, and don't need to talk about the third one.
Yeah. What is the one, The Devil Made Me Do It? That's the one?
That's the one that just came out this year, yes.
Yeah. And you are not a fan of it, I suppose.
I thought it was much closer to a run-of-the-mill horror movie than a quality James Wan horror movie.
Did he direct? I don't think he directed. I think he just produced it, right? Or did he
Correct.
direct that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it, at least in my opinion, was not as good.
Mm-hmm. I feel like with James Wan, he's sort of lost some of his zhuzh with the movies he's doing because I think he's trying to be so different.
And then again, going back to different horror movies, I love the first Saw movie. I realize some people think that the ending is ridiculous, but I don't care. I love it, and it was very different at that time.
Oh yeah, especially when it came out, it was a good story. It was creative, and what I like all the Saw movies. I mean, I know they're ridiculous. Did you see?
Get ridiculous, yes.
Very ridiculous. I haven't seen Spiral yet, though.
Next question. Oh, okay. Me too, Kurt.
Kurt likes the first one. The sequels, and I thought 2 was very good. I like 2.
2 was good. I don't know. When you see the trick in 1, it's not as good in 2.
Yeah, that's true. I do like how they developed. Sorry, spoilers. I do like how they developed some of the side people or henchmen, like his associates that kind of picked up his mantle. I do like how they developed some of them, not all of them. The one detective or the FBI agent, I'm not sure which one he was. I think he was like 5 and 6. I think it was a reach. To put it mildly, it was a reach for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you like the It movies?
I enjoy the miniseries from the 90s because of Tim Curry. He is phenomenal in that. And then I thought the first It movie in 2017 was excellent. But the second one I just was not really into.
The second one I thought was like half an hour longer than it needed to be.
That was one of the things, yes.
Yeah. But I liked it. And actually, I feel like It and Annabelle Creation, the first Annabelle, the Annabelle prequel, not the first Annabelle, I thought they were the closest thing to scary movies we've gotten in a long time.
I would say the first It for sure.
Yeah. Oh, you're not an Annabelle fan? Oh, I'm sorry.
I will agree that Annabelle Creation is the best out of all of them.
Yeah, I liked it. But they should have stopped there. Then they just dragged it out, kicking and screaming. All right, so we'll get back on. I mean, we could talk about horror movies all day and all night. I see. So when we talk about the movies, and we had an interesting conversation about watching movies alone versus watching movies with a group of your friends. Please expound on that.
Well, I still try to see big release movies with friends. For instance, Shang-Chi a couple weeks ago, saw with a couple friends, and that was awesome. But for the most part, most of the people I know do not want to see the movies that I do. So I have to go alone. And on top of that, I like going on the weekend afternoons where it's a little bit easier to get to the showing and everything like that. So, I don't mind seeing it alone, and it allows me to get to more things that I want to see, because before I would have to try to find somebody to go with, and then either they wouldn't be available or we would wait too long and then it would be gone. So finally I was like, I'm just going to go by myself. And that's what I've been doing on a regular basis.
I see that Ryan subscribes to it. If you don't have anything nice to say about a particular subject topic, then just don't say it at all.
Glenn, you might be correct.
Now, you had talked about the stigma associated with watching movies alone. I know a few people that are like hardcore about watching movies alone. Talk about the stigma you were talking about, and I know you lean to it, but do you prefer it?
Well, I mean, I don't know if prefer is the right word. The reason why I say that is I would love for people to go with me to see these things, but more than likely the people I know are not going to enjoy them. So I don't want to put them through that.
Right.
So I definitely don't mind going alone. And as far as the stigma is concerned, nobody I knew at the time went alone. So when I was going alone, I was the odd one out. So when you don't know anybody else doing what you're doing, you feel like it's not the right thing to do. But then through listening to different communities online and things like that, I found that it's very common. So now I have no problem, and even know some other people in here that do it themselves.
I know Kurt had mentioned that he likes seeing movies alone.
Yep.
I would love to see a movie alone. I'm just not allowed.
You're in a bit more of a predicament, yeah.
Yeah. It's called The Shackles of Children and a Wife. What was I going to say? So, what was your favorite movie to watch in the movie theater? I know I don't know. Remember one of the questions I know you had to think about.
Well, I can give you some that are definitely up there. I would say Mad Max Fury Road was phenomenal to see in the movie theaters, just because of the grand scale of the movie itself and all the wonderful visuals and things like that. And the same goes for Blade Runner 2049. I was one of like 4 people in the IMAX screening that I saw it in, and it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, and I love that movie. So as far as favorite ones to see in the theaters, there's that, and then there's the other side where I love seeing in-game in the theater with, at the time, a packed audience, because everybody's there having fun, cheering, and different things like that. So depending on the movie, it also depends on the experience.
So, the big question. We have a love of video games. We have a love of movies. When we jam them together and we get these video game movies, do you have any video game movies that you actually... I'm going to need you to say something not nice if you need to say something not nice here. Sir, you have to break your Batman rule. Is there a video game movie that you prefer, and do you like video game movies in general?
I'll answer it this way, is that it is widely known that most video game movies are not good. I will say the first Mortal Kombat is very entertaining, but it is not a good movie. So there are some video game movies that are entertaining, but they're not necessarily good. For instance, I enjoyed the first few Resident Evil movies, but then after that, it's kind of, the same thing again and again. So really hoping that we get one that truly stands out amongst the rest one day.
Mortal Kombat is great. Well, I think your fans want you to comment on Mortal Kombat.
Well, as I said, I found it entertaining, and I will watch it again and again, but that does not mean that I could go to somebody who's not going to find the same enjoyment and convince them otherwise.
Do you didn't care for the new Mortal Kombat, I'm assuming?
Overall, it was okay, but I did really enjoy the fight scenes and the fatalities, but that's what I was hoping to see in it, and that's what I got. So, yes, I enjoyed it, but,
I did hear a rumor that the next new Mortal Kombat is going to be more true to the video game. How do you feel about that, and what do you think that's going to entail?
I'm not as partial to the story. I rarely played the Mortal Kombat games, so I'm not familiar with the story, so I wouldn't really be the one to say how I would feel on that.
All right. So, now that we've talked about video game movies, how do you feel about, I know you like Marvel, how do you feel about the comic book movie genre in total?
I think that nowadays we get probably more hits than misses. Before the 2000s, it was a little rough. There were some hits here and there, but studios have seemed to find a footing with that. But I will say the ones that I enjoy the most are not necessarily the most mainstream, such as Watchmen is one of my favorite comic book movies. So, and that did not do as well, but yeah, so it kind of depends sometimes. But overall, I'm glad that we have so many options nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. Do you have? Oh, I don't know. A top three comic book movies?
Yeah, my number one would be The Dark Knight.
Yes, and then, I knew you were a man of great knowledge and wisdom.
Well, and then I know this is going to sound weird, but I have tied for second place, which is Watchmen, as I mentioned. And then I know that it's not based on a comic book, but it is a comic book movie, the movie Unbreakable with Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. And the reason why I say tied for second place is Watchmen and Unbreakable are so drastically different. I can't really compare them in the same way. So I say that. And then V for Vendetta is definitely up there along with 300.
Oh, 300 is very good. 300 is dope. Great question. You just made me think of Mr. White. Unbreakable, yes. I like Split, but that's no MCU. He doesn't need an MCU. Rob, stop judging.
I love Split Rob. As well.
I'm sorry, his Marvel bias is, corroding me. What was I going to ask now? See, now it made me forget. Comic book movie, it's a genre to discuss. I don't remember my question now.
I said Unbreakable, and then you said, oh, that reminds me.
I can't remember. I'm sorry. I apologize, sir.
That's okay. Split is great.
Split is really good. I like Split.
Yes.
What do you think about the what's the one? What's the last one? Glass.
So when you do such a great job with Unbreakable and Split, Glass is good, but it's not those.
Right. When we go to something you said before, I feel like Glass was more tropey, traditional, like
in a sense, yeah.
But I think M. Night Shyamalan is a little different thinking as well, too. So I think that is also inherently in his movies. They're a little different. Okay. So there was a movie you had referenced. I believe you said it was the worst movie you ever saw. The Hive. Is that still true?
It is one of the worst movies that I have ever seen. It is some film that the company Nerdist was promoting, and it went to the theaters. And my problem is, if you put a movie in the theater, it should be better than what the Sci-Fi Channel would show on a Saturday night, as far as one of their own movies. So it was very frustrating to be hyped up for something and then just such disappointment. I will say another one that I mentioned as far as worst would be The Happening, for a lot of reasons. I know that people think it's funny and things like that, but I just do not like that movie. So.
Okay. And kind of wrapping up the movie section, sir. If you were to pick a favorite Joker, I'm just saying, if you had to pick a favorite Joker, and I am not going to eliminate the cartoon Jokers, but if you were to pick one that you maybe lean towards, which one would you lean towards, sir? So
I'm going to give you a very short answer, and I will tell you why. My answer is Heath Ledger.
Yes,
stay tuned on the Rob Fishbeck Network for more to come.
I like it. That's cool. Now, the linear line of your life. A lot of video games when you were younger. Now it's movies. And interestingly, your job is to watch TV.
That is the very basic way
Simple.
to describe it. Yes.
Yes. So what do you do for a daily basis, sir?
So I live in, as you mentioned earlier, Central Oregon, and we have one cable provider in Central Oregon. So we still have DirecTV and Dish, but there's only one cable provider. And that cable provider is in charge of the feeds for CBS and ABC. And I am the day shift to make sure all the programming and spots and things like that are playing and uploaded at the correct time.
So I believe what you said, to quote you and your greatness again, you'll watch a lot of mind-numbing stuff.
Unfortunately, with the daytime shift, it does come daytime television. So there are some talk shows, some soaps, and a lot of news.
I'm sorry, I froze again. What did you say, sir?
I said, unfortunately, with the daytime shift comes daytime television, which means a lot of talk shows, some soaps, and news.
Oh, so much fun. So CBS, ABC, two behemoths. You watch both of them at once, you said, right? How do you break
Correct.
that down? Are you like the architect sitting in a secret room where you have 75 TVs going at once?
So it's it's funny because it's a mixture between that and Ned from Spider-Man Homecoming, where he says, I'm the guy in the chair, because I sit in a chair, I watch all these things, but then there's like a sixth computer that I deal with that I have to do other stuff on. So there's a lot of back and forth and making sure that things are going when they should. But to break it down, there's two very large monitors, which I see the feed from our primary location going out to the public. Then there's a couple monitors for the feed over the air for people who still just use antenna. And then there's a few more monitors for the cable box feed. So everybody who has one of our cable boxes, I'm able to see what they're seeing at their time as well. That way, if there's an issue on any one of those feeds for any type of service that the person has, I'm able to contact the person who fixes it, and they can do so. Just to be clear, I am not the fixer. I am only the watcher.
Well, that's perfect because, you have What If now. So if you, and this is going off tangent for a second, I do this. In light of What If, and you being the watcher, sir, that's a perfect metaphor for you. If you could take any of the shows off TV and just have them be gone forever, which show from ABC and which show from CBS?
Well, I guess it is just me. I will go ahead and wait to answer that question until he comes back, so that way he can hear the answer. To answer Rob's question, that would be a different station.
I'm sorry. My question, sir. Which show would you take off of CBS and which show would you take off of ABC? Rob, pay attention. This is why I'm the host.
I'm going to give that answer for the shows that play during my shift. So it won't be for anything before or after. I understand that people like their soaps, so I would leave those. I want to make sure that I'm choosing the right one here. There's a program called The Doctors on ABC, and
I like The Doctors.
It's just I don't know. Maybe these people were doctors at one point, maybe not, but they're on a TV show that is super annoying to watch. So that would be my answer for ABC. And then CBS. There's not really a program on during my shift on CBS that I would take away. I can tell you some of their primetime evening programs.
Please.
Are, whatever. But yeah, not really one for CBS that I would want to take away. I mean, I could say either The Young and the Restless or The Bold and the Beautiful, because those are both on CBS. But again, I know people like their soaps, Brandy, so I will not do that.
Interesting. Big Mouse is going to come after Ryan now. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Oh, because ABC is owned by Disney.
Oh, okay. Nobody's coming after Ryan White. He's the man. I got you back, sir. How did you come to get CBS and ABC? Is it like
Honestly,
a contract thing?
I'm sure it is, but I could not give you the whole answer because I do not know. We have just had it for probably 20 years now or more. So,
how long have you been doing your job as the overseer?
I've only been doing my current job since October of 2019.
Okay. So going on 2 years? 3 years. 2 years. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Do you enjoy it? Maybe not just shows, but...
I love... Well, let me give a little bit of preface. Due to the previous jobs I have had with this company, I love this current position.
Okay. If you could be on any show, the showrunner for any show.
Wait, be on or show run?
The showrun. We'll do both. We'll do if you could be on any show. Sans Breaking Bad, because I have a Breaking Bad question for you. But if you could be on any show, what show would you be on?
Oh, so this doesn't have to be of the ones that I watch then?
No, any show.
Oh.
It could be a show you actually enjoy.
I mean, I don't know if I could do a voice, but it'd be really cool to be a voice guest on Rick and Morty. That'd be awesome.
Okay. That's the robot and that's the Back to the Future kind of thing?
Sure. You're close enough.
I don't watch Rick and Morty.
You should. It's very interesting.
You say that in a scary way.
Honestly, it makes you think about stuff, and you'd be surprised that a cartoon like that would make you do that.
Well, that's good. That's good then. I have to check it out. You watch a lot of TV. You have the face for voiceover.
Thank you, Matt.
That's an idiot.
Another fan.
Everybody's a fan of the Ryan. Movies, TV, which do you prefer? Which do you like better?
It kind of depends because as people have said before, it's easier to tell a bigger story on the TV format. But, movies are nice in the sense that you can not necessarily one and done, but it's a couple few hours and then you get most of a story. So it depends.
Okay. So, apparently you were traumatized, not traumatized like physically, but Lost traumatized you?
So to give a big answer to that, I have never seen Game of Thrones, and that's because I started to refuse to watch television shows as they were airing because of how much time I wasted on the show Lost. Again, my opinion, but I will. Yeah, that sixth season really lost me. I will admit, though, there was a lot of great stuff in the show. It's so frustrating when you spend months of your life, and then in the end, it's like, well.
I tried to watch Game of Thrones since we're talking about it. I tried watching Game of Thrones.
And I'm sure I would love it, by the way. It's just that's why I never got to it. And then eventually, most people were like, that ending sucked. So now I have less of a reason to get to it.
Yeah, I think I watched the ending and I didn't understand. But I didn't watch it consistently enough to really understand it anyway. Now, we've talked about things that you don't like and TV shows you don't like. You apparently have an affinity for Mr. Walter White and one Breaking Bad. Can you please elucidate on that for me, please, sir?
I mean, the short answer is Breaking Bad is, in my opinion, the greatest television show of all time. And as you watch it, it only gets better. And the hot take for me would be, I agree with probably 90+% of what he did in that show.
Wow. That's pretty intense from what I've heard. I haven't seen Walter White in action. I've seen parts of it. What's the spinoff show? I forgot what it's called.
Better Call Saul.
Do you watch that one as well?
I have not been, because I'm waiting for that to be over.
Oh, so you can watch the whole thing. Okay, so
Correct.
You wait.
Which I was doing for Breaking Bad until nobody told me that they were splitting season 5 over 2 years. So I started when season 5 was about to start. I watched season 1 through 4, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then they did a few episodes of season 5, and then I had to wait a year. So I was like, great. But luckily, that one paid off in the end.
Okay.
Again, my opinion.
So Breaking Bad is the best TV show ever.
In my opinion, yes. And another thing that I just love about it is that Vince Gilligan, the creator, writer, so on, he had a story in mind. He had a beginning and an end. Wasn't quite sure how he was going to get there, but he had a beginning and an end. And it was 62 episodes, and that's it. It wasn't, oh no, the show's doing really good, let's add 10 more seasons, Walking Dead. And then it eventually, just whatever. But yeah.
Bring that back up, please, Mr. Munoz. Has he ever seen Ted Lasso?
I do not have Apple TV Plus, AJ. I'm sorry.
And if Ryan White doesn't watch Ted Lasso, then Ted Lasso's garbage.
No, I've heard nothing but great things.
No, I've heard good things too.
And I will say about that, it's nice to hear that a show seems to be so uplifting for so many people. So that's good.
Okay. So we are here. Have you seen Sopranos or The Wire?
So I was too young when Sopranos started. Same with The Wire. So I have not gone back to those yet, but definitely will someday. That's kind of the only. I realize, not a lot of movies came out in 2020, which I was able to do a lot of catching up movie-wise in 2020, but I'm still more focused on that than going back for certain shows.
If you could review movies, would you want to?
Short answer is yes, but the long answer is not really, because I feel that there are many out there who do it much better than I do. So I don't know what would make me stand out. So that's why I enjoy listening instead of being the reviewer.
Okay. I like it. Oh, we got all these questions. All right, so we're going to move into the last part of the show, which is called Free Association, where I ask you stuff randomly, and then you're just like, oh, man. And you drop your knowledge and wisdom, as you do so eloquently most of the time. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this little trivia league that you are 19-0 in. I know you're not 19-0, but it sounds better for the story. I know 2-0. How do you feel about the trivia league? How did you get into it?
Well, group of us do Zoom on a regular basis, and in these Zooms, we would ask questions to one another. And then, luckily, a couple people took the initiative to actually make something of it, and I am lucky enough to compete in it, and it's pretty fantastic.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I like that. Um, are you and you don't have to give any spoilers about any potentially coming matches coming up, but is there any matches that you would look forward to doing?
There is one match. Earlier, you asked me what is my favorite horror movie, so look out for that in October.
Ooh, okay.
I just hope to find a worthy competitor.
But is there someone worthy?
As I have told Rob, they better be really good. It's going to be difficult to probably beat me in this one.
Okay. So are you guaranteeing a victory, sir? Right now on Everyday Experts.
I'm fairly confident.
Oh, I like it. Ryan is almost guaranteeing a victory. I like it. I am going to make sure that we'll send help. Okay. Lego is refuting your assertion that you're gonna kick booty butt in this trivia show.
We'll see, but I will say she does an excellent job.
She asks hard questions. She asks very hard questions. Yes, she does. Let's see. Oh, what else? I was trying to remember my question from before. Do you, sir, have any current TV shows or current movies that you are... Well, I'm sorry. What are some current TV shows you're looking forward to?
Not really TV shows. Rick and Morty just had their season finale last week, and I watched that, and I enjoyed it. But I really don't watch any shows that have a ongoing story. So I'll watch limited series shows and stuff like that. But for instance, a couple months ago, I watched Mayor of Easttown, and that was really good. But that's because it was a limited series. So I knew after, I think it was 8 episodes, it was done. So I watch a lot of that, but not really shows that come back for season after season.
Of the Marvel TV shows, oh my God. AJ, behave. Of the Marvel TV shows, which one has been your favorite thus far? If you've seen them, I'm assuming you've seen them.
I've seen all of them except What If. I have not seen any of those. I would say my favorite... See, this is where I struggle a little bit, because for me, the endings, the last episodes to most of these shows, have not been as good as the episodes before them. So I really enjoyed WandaVision, but I felt that their least creative episode was the last one. But up until then, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Loki. I think there's a lot more in that story to tell as well. And then, yeah.
Oh, you didn't like Falcon and Winter Soldier?
It was good.
I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think the last episode was probably the best one, in my opinion. You don't have to agree, but I see you don't. I like it. I see what your silence means now. Tough man here.
I just want to be clear about something, though. I don't have any social media, so I'm not going out there giving my opinions and telling people why this is bad. But if you ask, I will let you know.
Why is Falcon Winter Soldier bad?
I never said it was bad. I just did not enjoy it as much as the other two.
Okay. You didn't see What If. I think you'd like the zombie one. And that's not a spoiler. There's a zombie one.
I know.
It's really good. That's my favorite one. The other ones are okay, but I like the zombie one. But that could just be the horror person in me. Oh, man. Okay. So you're predicting a win in your next. Thank you, Robert, for your validation, for the warm fuzzy. If you could call out somebody in the Trivia League for a one-on-one match And we won't do the horror movies because you have one coming up. Any movie you would do it on, and who would you call out?
Well, I don't think it would be fair for me to choose the movie and the person because they may. Well,
this is my show, and I want to know what you. I don't care. I want to know what you think. They would have to study.
My real answer is it would not be a one movie match. I would, and I know it's not going to happen, so this is not pressure. Don't worry. I would love to play Lego in a horror movie match. Just all
horror movies. That's a lot. That is interesting. How did you come to that?
Her and I have talked, and we both really enjoy the genre, and I think that she would do great at it. So I would love to see if I could do better. I don't know if I could in that case.
Oh my God! So what you're saying is that you should play Lego one-on-one deathmatch for the commissionership.
I didn't say.
I know you didn't.
You added about 2 or 3 things there.
I did. I added a lot of things.
Honestly, Lego, it's because you display such a great knowledge, and we want to test our knowledge against yours.
I love how you give a compliment amidst the shit talking. It's a skill. It's a skill. Are we harking back to our video game days?
Well, I didn't give many compliments in those days. Let's put it that way.
Well, you didn't need to because you were eviscerating them. Last question, sir, as we wrap up. If you could be any superhero or supervillain, who would you be and why? And yes, you can choose one of each if you would like, sir.
Man, I'd probably have to go Wolverine just because you get the long life and you get the basically insta-heal, or at least in his early years, insta-heal. So that would be really cool. I don't know if I would necessarily get, the adamantium claws, but yeah, I'd probably have to go with him.
Do you have a villain you would pick or no? You don't have to. I was just asking.
I can tell you that my this is based on powers, not like performance and so on and so forth. Well, kind of performance, but I do really love Magneto as well.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
That would be the other one, which I don't know if you'd call those two opposites. And well, they're only opposite when he has the adamantium claws, but yeah.
Right. I like it. Wolverine and Magneto. So, I lied. Last question. Who would you cast as Wolverine?
Man, people talk about perfect casting, and I don't know if anybody has been, again, my opinion, more perfect as Wolverine than Hugh Jackman. So out of everybody, that would be, that's the hardest one to cast probably. I know a lot of people have thrown out Tom Hardy. I think that he'd be really cool. He wouldn't have something on his face this time, so that would be nice. But
you have my permission to die. I like it. Thoughts on the new Pattinson movie?
Okay, so number
one. Again, hold on. This is just Ryan's opinion.
Correct. So number one, have you seen the movie Good Time with Robert Pattinson?
No, I heard he has a lot of movies where he's pretty good in.
So that would probably be my number one for him. He is excellent. He was also excellent in the movie The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe. So based on those two performances, I was very excited for him to get this role, but I still wasn't quite sure. But then number two, when that trailer came out and we got to see him in that glory, it was, thank you. It really, cemented the fact that I am excited for that.
Nice. Did you see the Matrix 4 trailer?
Oh, yes. So I'm not going to spoil anything. Obviously, I love.
You can spoil it. It's my show. Go ahead, sir.
No. I loved the first one. It's just amazing. 2 and 3, they're okay. So I was not excited when they announced this fourth one. But after seeing the trailer, I am now excited.
Okay. All right,
I am surprised that I am excited.
Well, you're a movie aficionado, and The Matrix is like the arcing. Listen, there's people that watch movies. There's people that watch a lot of movies, and there's people that actually digest what they're watching. You're one of the people that digest what they're watching.
Well, this is what I will say. I had no clue what it was an allegory for until this year. So I did not get it in that way, but I definitely enjoyed what the other themes that I thought of during it. So.
Okay. Well, Mr. White, sir, a.k.a. Mr. Ryan Walter White, a.k.a. The Riddler. I know you don't like that name, but I think it's so fitting.
That's you.
I know you don't like it. I have prefaced that you don't like it. I appreciate you coming on Everyday Experts, and I look forward to our second episode. I know we're going to have to do another we're going to do a second episode, sir. Come on.
I wasn't told that.
No, I know. I'm telling you now. This is what I did.
Rob.
Listen, hold on. Let me tell you something, sir. Let me elucidate. Rob does not control Everyday Experts.
Right. Lego,
although she oversees many fabulous things and is a paragon of immense knowledge and wisdom and virtue, she doesn't oversee Everyday Experts either. I understand that. So, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm going to need you to stick around while I close out. Mr. Matt, could you please bring up the slate? He lost it already. He fell asleep. I bored him to death. So for September coming up, my friend Asia on Saturday, and then on the 25th, the book release for Love and Poetry is coming out. We're going to talk about some stuff on the 25th. We're going to read some poems. We're going to probably do some giveaways and stuff like that. Mr. White, you are a man of true knowledge and wisdom. I'm not. I welcome you, Lego. You're always welcome. I want you to come on the show. Anyway, so Lego's invited on the show. I am very, very excited about my book coming out on the 25th, and me and Ryan's second show. So I will close it off like this. Mr. White, I found another quote that just rings home for you, and you can tell me what you think afterwards.
Okay.
Being humble means recognizing that we are not on earth to see how important we can be, but to see how much difference we can make in the lives of others.
I think that this network and this show are making a difference.
Oh, that was very nice. Thank you, sir. So, like, subscribe, follow, comment, all of the above. Tune in. Renaissance Man, Characters of Culture, the Fantastic Film Trivia, Glenergy. Thank you, Jake, sir. Glenergy. All big things happening on the Rob Fishbeck Network. And as Matt would say, all right. He wouldn't, but I like saying that. Nanu, nanu.